Hello everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Connected. I am Bhagyashree from Computer Semester 7 and today we have with us Mr. Aditya Paranjpe. So starting with a brief introduction of our speaker for today, Mr. Paranjpe completed his electrical engineering in 2006 from FCRIT and was a university topper for his branch. He then worked as a product manager at Larsen & Toubro and was later promoted to manager for international sales. Following this, he completed his MBA PGPX from IIM Ahmedabad, where he was a recipient of the IIMA Gold Medal for Scholastic Performance. He was then associated with IBM for a brief period as a software client leader in the Lead Growth Markets program. Subsequently, he proceeded to head the Kirloskar Generator Technologies business for Kirloskar Oil Engines Limited and was instrumental in implementing the IoT roadmap for the green gensets. He currently works at CloudQ Technologies as the Chief Operating Officer for the IoT division and plays a vital role in helping customers build their IoT roadmaps smoothly. What and when was your interest in IoT picked, and why did you decide to take it up as a career?
Okay, so when I was working with L&T, I was responsible for switchgear products, specifically control gear products, which included starters. One particular product at that point of time was aimed at the agri segment, and this goes way back to the time where what we're doing as conventional IoT was really not called IoT. We used to just call it remote monitoring or remote on-off of pumps. We were one of the first to bring such a solution to the market where remotely you are able to switch on, switch off your pump, get certain parameters. So that was my first, I would say, stint with IoT. I was responsible for that product range. After I joined Kirloskar Oil Engines, I was responsible for managing the remote monitoring system of the Coil Green gensets, and that's really where a deep dive into IoT, into the applications, the gateways. That's where the exposure started, and once that was perfected, the Kirloskar management felt that okay, if we have done something so well for our own products, why not take this to market so that we are able to offer this to other customers as well. CloudQ is also part of the Kirloskar group, and I moved from Kirloskar Oil Engines into CloudQ Technologies to so that we are able to take whatever we have perfected for our own products, take that to the market. IoT as a domain has got several moving parts. So you have an application, you have a platform, you have data management, you have data storage. So that is the IT part of it. There's also a very strong OT part of it. So you need to understand instrumentation, embedded systems, hardware design. So it's a very, very challenging area. It's an upcoming area. And that was what really interested me. And, so when I was given this opportunity to head the IoT business for CloudQ, I jumped at that opportunity.
What are the steps involved in an IoT roadmap, and what challenges do you face in the course of it?
Typically, every IoT roadmap starts with a problem statement. So, when we have discussions with our customers, we try to identify what are the pain areas that they're trying to solve. That is the first step. Now, if that problem statement is articulated well, then the entire IoT story flows fairly well. So, for instance, you have customers who are wanting to know how is the real world performance of their equipment. So I could be let's say a vehicle manufacturer, and I want to know when I sell my vehicle to the end customer, how is he using it? Is he using it properly? Is he getting it serviced at the prescribed interval? Is he really using the vehicle for the prescribed kilometers? How often is he refueling it? And by getting those insights, am I able to offer a higher service level to that customer? Am I able to improve his overall customer experience? So that is the problem statement. So we work with the customer. A lot of our energy and time goes into really trying to understand what is the problem that the customer is trying to solve. If this is the problem that I want to solve, what are the points that I need to capture? Once the list of points is known, then how do I capture those? So what is the gateway? What is the hardware that I'm going to need, which is going to fit in the vehicle to capture those points? And then what is the visualization? How am I going to actually view that information? What are the reports? What are the integration points? That means, there are already IT systems which will be residing in that customer's setup. So the IoT system is going to talk to, which all IT systems that needs to be properly looked at. And that's how the entire roadmap flows.
Related to your academic excellence, could you tell us about some of the preparation practices that you stood by during and after engineering?
To be very honest, I have not always been very good at academic. What I started doing third year of engineering onwards was, managing my time properly. So, in fact, I would create timetables. What is it that I want to do in what time period? And, I always used to do that. But after the third year of engineering, I actually started following it, and it made a tremendous amount of difference. And it helps in terms of, you're constantly aware of what is it that you're doing when. While focusing on your academics, you're also able to do many other things. In fact, in the third and fourth year of engineering, I did that very meticulously, and I was able to do well. I followed the same routine even at IIMA. So IIMA, particularly the PGPX program, is known for its academic rigor, because whatever is done in 2 years in a typical PGP program is compressed down to a year. So so you are from the get-go, you're bombarded with so many subjects, assignments, reading material, and if you don't manage your time properly, so that's what used to happen with most of my classmates, that they would get so engrossed in a particular subject and not manage their time that they wouldn't do justice to other subjects. And then, I was able to manage that pretty well. So that has helped.
So how was your experience at IIM Ahmedabad, one of the best business schools in India? And what were the challenges that you faced during your post-graduation program?
So it was a really good experience. A couple of reasons for that. One is that the quality of students that go to IIMA is pretty high. So you get to interact with really smart people. For the PGPX program, the average participant's age is about 32 years, and most people come with 8 to 10 years of work experience from very diverse fields. So we have people who have worked globally. We have people who have already done their masters. We had certain people who had their own startups. So, they were actual entrepreneurs who then decided to take a break and do the PGPX program. When I rather got into IIMA, in fact, I was one of the last people to get in, because I was one of the younger participants there. And they have a lot of emphasis on the work experience that you have. Although our engineering college is good, but it's a local engineering college. Whereas, you have so many people who come from IITs, NITs, BITS. So, to start with, I was a little low on confidence, saying that I'll have to, if my classmates come with such good credentials, will I be able to cope up? But then I realized after the, first few days that there's nothing very complicated here. I mean, there is no reason why any of us have to be low on confidence. In fact, if not anything else, we are better and far more sincere than many other participants of that program. I managed to do very well in that. I mean, the baggage of where you come from should not hold you back. At the end of the day, one needs to understand that, it's what you make of the program. From where you come from really doesn't matter. And you need to have that sincerity and confidence, and that is what takes you places.
Is there any message that you want to explicitly convey to the students and alumni watching this video?
Try to gain as much knowledge as you can during the 4 years of engineering. Try to learn as much and do whatever you do with utmost sincerity. Don't do something because someone is pushing you to do it. There is a limit to which you can sustain in an area that you really don't like to work in. So it's important for us to beyond the point to really decide what is the career path that we want to take. And once decided, do that with utmost sincerity, utmost effort, to a point where you should be able to really excel in that field. Get into the depth, spend time, spend effort, put in effort, network with people, and get into, all dimensions of whatever area you choose. Because today we are in a world where, whether you're an engineer, you're not an engineer, if you're good at something, there is a value to what you're doing. Otherwise, that degree has absolutely no meaning, So even after doing engineering, it's very important for us to really spend that time in trying to figure out what is it that we really enjoy doing, and try to invest in making sure that we build skills in that domain, so that then we have a value in the market. When you are, in your mid-30s or when you're approaching 40, if you land up in that situation where you're not already at a reasonably senior position, then you're going to find it very difficult, because the number of jobs that will be available will be limited, and they're not going to be very high paying either. So when you're early in your career, it's important to, truly introspect, and try to figure out what is it that I want to do and spend time, effort, energy in making sure that you build skill in that area.